What's up, folks? Welcome to Nino's Corner TV. I'm joined with Collin Plume once again. I got to tell you, Collin, it's like Trump has said, we're coming into the golden age. And I almost think he means that literally. I've done nothing but invest in gold and silver with you. And I got to say, I'm very, very happy with my decision to do that. But now it almost is like people are kind of pulled in two directions. It's cryptocurrency, or do we go with gold and silver, or do we
Sure.
do both? I say obviously I diversify my funds, I do it all, but I know one thing for sure: gold and still silver has stood the test of time, and I believe it always will.
Yeah.
Collin, thank you for joining me.
Yeah. No, I think, looking at the gold price, it broke close to 2,800. It did not hit 2,800. And then we've been hitting this, there's been sell-off since the election. And I think this is what happens when you have a euphoria after an election is that people are like, oh, everything is going to kind of go back to normal and things are going to be better again. But we know a lot has to happen. And we know that we're still, 35 trillion and going up in debt. We know that we still have a lot of problems. Also, it's okay to try to appoint people and some of these positions he'll be able to, but we also know a lot of them, there's gonna be pushback and not everything's gonna go as smooth as we think. So I think we had this euphoria, we had this sell-off, and then you see this $2,600 gold, which is creating a new floor. And that's always what gold does. Gold always does is like a stair step. It goes up, creates a floor, it goes up, it creates a floor, it pulls back, and then you have these stair step scenarios. And I think that, you're looking at the market in terms of the demand, and the retail demand is still very strong. Now, what happens is that with gold prices, when you look at gold at 27.75 because it's new, there's people that are going to sell there and they're going to take profits. But then you come into a range, and a commodity like gold comes into a range between, let's say, 25 and 2,900, and that becomes the new range where there's buying and selling happening. But there's a point where it gets too low, and the owners of gold go, I'm not going to sell at 2,600, if that makes sense.
Right,
So
right.
they see a price and they see it go. I mean, we're up, at the peak, we were up 33% this year. So obviously you have people on the market that go, oh, I'm going to take some profit there. But then you have also the people that are thinking, wait a minute, we had all this gold price surge and we really didn't see a normal gold market for it to go up because interest rates were high. Usually interest rates high is not great for gold, yet gold continued to go up. So the demand in gold has been really pushed by central banks. It's been pushed by large institutional buyers. It's been pushed that way. The retail market on the West has just started to get into the market in the last 3 to 4 months. So you're seeing a little bit of a different buyer come to the market today. And then you're seeing just the whole market in general, like equities, the Bitcoin, all these things kind of flourishing. But keep in mind, a lot of this is that you need a two-way street. And so with crypto, as much as I believe it and I own it, you always have to think about there has to be buyers and sellers. And at this day and age, as much as the price has gone up, none of these cryptos have really proven to solve any real world problems. And they're all based on just demand, right, in the market. It's not like Bitcoin is great for the countries like El Salvador that own it, but it hasn't really become a currency that's established in the world where they say, yeah, this is our number one currency. We're using this. So I think, and a lot of the other cryptos that talk about fixing problems, they haven't really solved a lot of the problems yet. And until they do, it's kind of like AI. There's so much AI talk, but until they're actually fixing problems, yes, when you go and search on Google and you get information faster, yes, that's great. That's good. But that's not really solving a problem yet. So I think you have to think about is that in your portfolio, when you look at it as a whole, you want to have speculative things. You want to have things that people are getting in AI. You want to have crypto. You want to look at these things, take advantage. But you have to keep in mind that these crypto winters, like people get destroyed and people forget a few years ago, there was this massive crypto winter and cryptos, some of them went down 99%. Some
Yeah.
of them went down 90%. You know, even Bitcoin was down 70%. So unless you're younger and you can handle that volatility, you have to really understand that that part of your portfolio can do it. And until it solves those problems continuously, it's going to continue to have volatility because there's always going to be people that are going to say, "Oh, Bitcoin at 90,000, it's enough. I bought it at
So
10."
so the safe bet is gold and silver and always has
Yeah, I
been
mean,
and will be.
yeah, because you're using it, right? You're
And
using,
hold on, but there's also a lot of talk with my guests that I've had on my programs that these next 60 days until Trump gets in there, anything can happen. A lot of things can happen. And
sure.
we still haven't seen this black swan event, this financial disaster, the financial apocalypse, all this stuff. I've heard still needs to come in play and it cannot happen on Trump's watch. I mean, these people just took a heavy hit. They just took they're shell shocked with defeat,
Right,
and they're
right.
liable to do anything now to change the game. So people really need to keep that in consideration. We still these 60 days could be an eternity. So I would urge my audience to most definitely take this safe bet and get into the gold and silver, because I think that is the right thing to do. I mean, I'm playing with some crypto, but you know me, I go to you for everything when it
Yeah.
comes to gold and silver.
Well, and I even have a lot of crypto owners that will sell and go into gold, and then maybe they'll wait and see what happens and get back into crypto, or maybe they just take their profits into gold. You always want to take your risky stuff off the table at some point and get it into safe investments. And you used to do more, real estate used to be a really safe thing. That used to be, but with the holding costs and interest rates being high and the demand with real estate is tough. So it's not that, sell risky and go into safe anymore. And then I would say with silver, let's talk about silver. I mean, silver right now, it's using everything, all electric vehicles, solar panels, electricity. One of the things that, I wanted to get into a little bit is just core price increases. I mean, we've had core price increases for 53 straight months. Under Biden's administration, core price increases have gone up 20.4%. So you're looking at what are some of the things that you can own or
So
that
it has increased 53 consecutive months
53 consecutive
with
months
the
we've had
latest year-over-year rate at 3.33%.
3.3.
The
Exactly. That,
shelter index rose 0.4% in October, contributing to over 65% of the annual core inflation increase. And these numbers are crazy.
yeah. So it's like, yeah. So if that's the thing that I think to keep in mind is gold is the asset that is going to keep up with the cost of inflation, keep up. So yeah, you're going to get some wins and some other things, but ultimately what everybody wants is that if they have a good, uh, if they like their style of living today, they like their house, they can afford, to go out to dinner once in a while, they go on a vacation, like all the things that everybody wants. The goal with gold is that in 10 years from now, when you have some gold and you have some different assets, but especially gold, that gold will be able to keep up so you can keep the same quality of living. That's why when people are like, oh, it doesn't pay a dividend, it doesn't this, that's not what gold's there for. Gold is to keep up so that in the event that
It's
gold
the
hits,
standard. It's
it's
the
the standard,
standard.
right? And if you're when gold hits $5,000 an ounce, that yeah, cost of goods will have gone up, but you'll go, okay, I have an ounce of gold. I want to go and, I have 2 ounces of gold and I want to go on a vacation or, whatever I'm going to do. I can sell these 2 ounces or I have to fix the roof. I have these 2 ounces of gold. And think about how wild that is that when you and I started working together, gold was sitting in the 15, $1,600 range. Only
1800, I think it was 17 something.
yeah. Okay. So a few years ago. So since then, yeah, you have this core inflation, this number that is scary, right? But what has gold done? Gold has gone up to protect you against that increase of inflation. And so I think that's the thing that people need to realize is that as a whole, when you're looking at everything, you do want to have these assets to protect yourself. And the one thing that I would say is that these assets are not replaceable. The amount of gold in the world only goes up by about 1% per year in terms of mining. And who's going to take that gold? Who's going to own that gold? China. Russia right now has said that they want to continue to buy. They're buying at a furious pace. They're also talking about bringing out that BRICS pay currency, which I would assume they're going to have backed by some gold. So you have these countries that are continuing to buy gold to protect themselves. On the screen, what you're talking about is there's a massive Colombian gold heist. So one of the
This is
biggest mines,
illegal mining
illegal
operations.
mining in Colombia. That mine is actually, interestingly enough, is owned by China. So they have 2,000 illegal miners there mining from Colombia, which I want to dive into more because I want to see what they mean by illegal miners. Are they people from Colombia? Are they people from another country that I don't know the whole story, but in essence, they've been having massive gold heists at this mining facility in Colombia, and they had 3.2 tons of gold just recently stolen from their gold mines, which is almost 40%.
3.2 tons.
3.2 tons. Yeah. I mean, this is
Damn.
no joke. The amount of vast system that they have in place to steal that. I mean, this isn't like someone stealing some gold out of a safe. I mean, 3.2 tons is massive. So, and you can see the lengths that people are going to steal assets, to steal gold. They know these things are valuable. And you know China is going to do, and they're doing it right now. They talk a lot about it, about the article, is that they talk a lot about the security measures they're going to need to put in place
Well,
to
hold on. I've
protect.
talked to a lot of people that have told me that China is all over in South America right now. So this is one of the, and doing different operations militarily, but obviously the big one here is makes sense to me now. They're gold mining.
They're gold mining. Absolutely. Yeah. It's one of the all precious metals mining. They really want to capture that market. That's why China, China is just so strategic in how they do things and just as a country. I saw an interview with Patrick Bet-David. He was talking about how many bases we have in the US, like US as a military. I think we have like 85 bases across the world in different countries. China has two. China doesn't look at the world the way that the US looks at. The way that they look at the world is that they're buying assets, they're buying real estate in the US. They want to buy more, they own mines in the US. They want to continue to buy assets that will appreciate over time. They don't want to get into skirmishes. They don't want to be the world, they don't want to get into all these problems all over the world militarily. They want to buy assets. And
Well,
I
you could
think
have
that's
fooled me with Taiwan, but
well, yeah, but that's close to them, and there's strategic reasons
right.
there that want to do that. But I'm saying for the most part, China, the way that they are building their country is they want to spread out the risk and they want to own a lot of different assets and they're all real assets, real estate, precious metals. I mean, they really buy assets that cannot be replaced, and that's really the strategy of China. Also, they do it. They just came out earlier this year and said they're not buying any more gold, but yet they have one of the biggest gold mines in the world in Colombia. So,
Wow.
they're sending a message here saying we're not buying gold because they don't want the price to go up. When they buy gold mines, they don't want to buy gold mines at a higher price. I mean, everything's strategic with China. So these are the things that you really have to think about as like, why does a country as wealthy and growing as China, why are they doing it? They're really trying to spread their risk as best as possible. They're really looking at holistically, like we need to have different assets in different parts of the world because we know things can fluctuate. And that's really my philosophy, David, and like what I've always talked about. And I think I've been pretty straight on this for my whole career, is that you do want to have different assets to protect yourself. And I do own real estate and I do own equities, but I'm not feeling great about a lot of those investments right
I
now.
don't either. I feel like the safety net is gold and silver.
Yeah, a
I
lot of the
have no
real
left to go
estate
to.
that I own, I don't feel great about because a lot of the regulation, a lot of the ways that they're making it difficult for landlords kind of all across the country. It's not that safe haven play that it used to be. And the liquidity is tough. I have one property I for sure want to sell, trouble tenants, this and that. But I know it's a bloodbath right now. I'm going to get, raked over the coals, so I'm not going to sell it right now. So I'm sort of stuck with a property that's underperforming and I got money tied up there. So it's like these are the things you really have to think about when you're investing today is like, time and money is really important. So all the time that I have to spend with the manager to make sure, could it just be better spent in gold or silver? Mostly the thing I'm buying the most is really silver. Right now I have a good amount of gold. I've been buying a ton of silver.
I just got a ton of silver from you, so
Exactly. Yeah, and when you asked me, it was like silver. That's
yeah.
the thing that the only downside with silver at some point is, where do you put all of it? But
Right.
these are problems that we'll deal with.
Well, I remember Juanito came to a party here in El Paso. He came to see me in El Paso, and the first thing he did was he brought me a huge safe. He goes, "You're going to need this.
Yeah.
We're in uncertain times, and things are about to happen. The financial plug hasn't been pulled yet. You're going to need
Yeah.
gold and silver." And my audience trusts him very much, and I trust him. So I have a safe with your silver in it, but. I think in the uncertain times, this is the route I'm going because it's just too hard to predict right now with
Yeah.
everything. And it's just so uncertain. I'd rather have it stored away in gold and silver and know that it's safe and sound and it'll always have value. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I also think with the equity markets, if you really dive in and you really read what's happening in Wall Street, which I do, I mean, they say that the almost 100% of the equity market is overvalued. I mean, I read the articles every day where they're like, they don't understand these valuations of the companies. And listen, I get the euphoria of what happened with Trump and then it'll open up regulation, and that's good. But ultimately, companies still have to profit. And with inflation higher, with inflation and interest rates do harm businesses. They have to hire employees, they have energy costs, they have electricity costs, they have to buy equipment. So the fact that rates, instead of what the Fed thought that were going down, they're actually going back up. And a lot of it has to do with what's going on with the 10-year. So the costs for a business have skyrocketed. They have not gone down in the short term. And then the next thing, the idea of tariffs will not make things cheaper right away. It will circulate more money in the U.S. It will help our tax revenue because we'll have more people employed. We'll have more items sold here in the U.S. It will help us in that way. But in the short term, a lot of these measures are going to make things more expensive. And I think gold and silver will just follow suit in that fashion.
All right, folks, you know where to go. Collin Plume right here. He's my personal advisor, and this is who I go to. So I know my audience, I know a lot of my audience is already going to Noble Gold, but anything else you want to say, Colin?
No, I think we do have some great promotions going on right now. We
Great,
actually have,
great customer service too.
yeah, unbelievable. That's what we focus on. You're going to get taken care of here. If you're looking to buy anything for family members before the holidays, I would say buy soon. If you're looking for a Christmas gift, for grandkids, call us. We got some really cool ideas. And I always say, like, listen, you can buy kids toys and you can buy, but everybody knows 5 seconds after they open that toy, they don't care about
I'm
that.
like that.
All
With the
right?
shit that I get, I'm like, oh, it's great for a day.
Open it up. God, you know what I mean? I have the great. I'll tell you funny. So I have a really good buddy who has kids. I have kids. My twins are almost 6, and my oldest is 8. And he does this thing where he gets the presents, he gives it to them, and then they forget about them, and then he rewraps those and gives it to them again, and they open it up like they're excited the next whatever it is, Christmas,
Wow.
birthday, because they just want the opening. So it's
That's
what
just human nature, man.
that's
That's
they just like the
crazy.
opening. They did. So
Yeah. It's just
what
a
I'm saying,
moment of excitement.
yeah, the opening, I will tell you, I've given my kids wrapped, even though I don't need to, I give them wrapped coins, gold and silver coins. And they love it. And
That's
they're gonna get the
brilliant.
same excitement. And actually, these things are not going to depreciate. They're actually going to appreciate. And so if you really want to help your family members, don't mess around with junk. Get them something that's going to go up. Like it's not like other things, but it's an amazing thing. And I remember growing up, my grandmother gave me stock. She gave me some stock.
Oh,
Like people,
socks or stock?
she actually gave me stock like
Okay.
that. When you used to be able to get the stock certificate? She gave me a
Yes,
stock,
yes.
and I have it. It's Xerox. I'll bring it next time I'm on the show. I mean, like most people probably have never even seen it. So I have the stock certificate from Xerox, but she gave that to me as a gift. And I remember I opened it, I was like, and I asked questions, and it's distinctly in my mind, like she thought about me, like this is for my future. Now, of course, Xerox went into the toilet,
Yeah.
it's sitting at 100 and now it's at $8. But that being said, the idea was good. And, but what I'm saying is they're not going to remember the 𝗬𝗏𝗂𝗁 BS stuff, but this stuff, you can give your family members, you can give your grandkids, you can give them a net worth at 5. At my kids have a net worth because they have gold and silver, and nobody can take that away from them. So I just think, like, keep in mind, like, these are good gifts. So call us if you want ideas. We can give you cool ideas. We can do, we could do fun. There's fun sets that we can do. But at the end of the day, like, I just say, like, capitalism works and we're lured into it, but you don't have to fall victim to that. You can give them something that's actually going to help them long term. And I think in this day and age, to teach them a lesson about what this is worth, and the fact that they could get a 1/4 ounce gold coin that's worth $700 that's this big, I think would teach them more than some remote control car that they're going to break.
I agree.
Anyway,
I agree with you 100%. Collin, thank you so much for joining me, folks. You know where to go. Hit the link below. Noble Gold. Is it noblegoldinvestments.com?
𝗬𝗏𝗍𝗂𝗍𝗑𝗠𝑒nvestments.com. Mention that you heard us on Nino's show, and I'll always appreciate everyone, and tons of free information. So call us and definitely learn about what we do.
Link will be right down below, folks. All right, Collin, thank you so much for joining me, man.